Hey, you guys. We're back. We're doing it. It's happening. I'm your host, JustLatasha, here on a Monday Night Live. Patreon.com/JustLatasha to access the live show. Or you guys can catch me on the JustLatasha channel on YouTube every Thursday for the rewatch when this video goes public, general access. And I'm appreciative for all of you. I'm appreciative of each and every one of you. I am so thankful. I am so grateful. But shout out to the people who's here live. I even want to act like my people and my people. Shout out to the people that's here live. And shout out to all the new patrons. Shout out to my OGs. We all in here having fun. Time to think. It's time to think. Not me making music. Ew. What's up, y'all? And shout out to Trini Boy, Damien, who's currently traveling, but we'll catch the rewatch. But as he said in the chat, period, it's a love room. Blow them hearts up. Let's show each other some love. Make some friends in the chat. Think out loud. Be wrong. I ain't in that writer's room. I ain't make this show. I be hypothesizing. Sometimes it's a home run. 99% of the time, it's a home run. That 1% I be wrong, though. I'm just here loving on the show as is. We are dissecting the entire season of Atlanta, season 3, second to final season ever in the world in existence, ever. Pushing on through to what I believe is the season midpoint. Are we getting only 8 episodes? Y'all gonna do us like that? Come on now, if you on YouTube, do that other thing. Do that like button. Help a creator out. Help a creator out. Do that. All right, share the video, like it. Let's see what patrons we got up in here. Hi, Clee. How you doing, boo? Hi, today, yo. Yes, let's do it. Hearts up in the chat. Khaled the OG, Barty the OG. What up, Elaine? Hey, y'all. Emmy, are you new here, baby? Welcome. Yes. I didn't get into the White Album, I think it was called. But that Redbone album, and that Redbone album snuck up on me. Let me tell you, that Redbone album snuck up on me because at first I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's a lot of genres, we in a lot of years, we're doing a lot. But one day I played it, and I was like, oh yes. Oh yes, phenomenal. I might try to revisit the White Album again. We'll see. We'll see. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. What's up? Kelly girl. Back. You think you know me, Cleve? You think you know me? I be dragging Cisco on Twitter because I love him. I went to BET to meet him in person. I earned my stripes. And to be honest, I drag those that I love. Because if I don't like you, like I'm not keeping up with you. It's very simple for me. If I don't like you, I'm not keeping up with you. But when I love you and I admire you, I have something to say. And that brings me to this. Donald Glover did an interview with Interview Magazine where Donald Glover interviewed Donald Glover. Set Twitter on fire last week. He got critiqued and dragged again. And who would I be if I didn't say something? Donald, please. I've been on the ropes for years fighting for your ass because I love your work. From the EPs to the mixtapes to the scripts that you include, the short films that you've been doing for years, to your Jhené Aiko phase crush era. I've avidly been a Donald Glover fan over 10 years now. It's a long time. Here's what we need you to do. I get that you're cheeky and funny and smart and hella creative and you'd be trying to do things different ways. Like even when you interviewed yourself for Interview Magazine, as a fan, I understood it. Like it wasn't nothing to me. I was like, of course you did. Here's what we need you to do. In your backpack era mixtape days, you fetishize non-Black women. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. From 2007 to 2013, it was hot shit to shit on Black women. You was cool when you was anti-black. And not you, Donald, but niggas. Niggas you. It was cool to be anti-black misogynoirist. It was, you got brownie points. We in a different era now. So what we needed as Black women is just to hear you say out loud and clearly and overtly, I fucked up back then. And I don't stand for that now. I learned a lot. I want my work to pay Black women forward. I'm here because of a Black woman. I love Black culture. Black women are a part of that. They inform that. I hold y'all down. I shouldn't have did that shit back then. And we be out of here. We be out of here, but you won't do it. I don't know why. I don't know why you won't do it. You just like won't say it. And it's like, I can see like you listening to and including and abiding sometimes by the critique. I see the inclusion of Black women in Atlanta between season 1 and now. Black women are much more prominent and have storylines, and like that was a heavy critique of the show. Then season 2 came when you're showing them more, but you're showing them in a way. I think the show didn't have the time to provide the humanity behind the choices that the Black women were making in the show. Because I say all the time, every character in Atlanta is shitty. Ern's for the longest was a broke down, beat boyfriend, bad partner, college dropout, broke daddy, homeless. Those are terrible things. Paperboy, drug dealing, depressed, weed smoking, Darius, idiot savant, just floating around doing nothing. Nothing. Van won't choose partners that equate to her value. She doesn't quite even know her value. Every character in Atlanta is shitty, and that was the point. And especially season 2, they were all depressed. They were supposed to be at their shittiest. But we see the humanity, especially because it's 3 Black men to 1 Black woman. We see the humanity behind the characters. So when you do show a multitude of Black women, we don't have that time in the show. So we're just watching Black women be shitty. And that offsets a lot of the women that are trying to get into the show as well. We just need to hear you say it. I'm sorry and I love you. It's quick and simple. You could do it. Do it! The way this episode 4, the big payback, talking about Black reparations, is about a white man dodging accountability. And sir, I don't know how you missed that parallel. I don't know. How did you miss that? The way the white man in your show is dodging accountability on Blackness, you said in your interview magazine, are you afraid of Black women? Why are you asking me that? I feel like your relationships didn't play a big part of your narrative. I feel like you're using Black women to question my Blackness. Dodgy! We wouldn't be here if you would just say it. Just say it. A woman wrote this show, not a Black woman, but a woman of color wrote this show. Her name is Francesca Sloan. A Black woman, Stephanie Robinson, wrote y'all favorite episode, The Barbershop. I think my favorite episode of all time is The Woods, personally. Because I love stories about battling your own identity. That's my shtick. As a screenwriter myself, that's my lane. I write The Lion King on heroin. Like, those are my stories. So we know that you're putting women you're letting them play in your world. You're giving them jobs. You're allowing them to create their own storylines. They're being more prominent as characters in the show. We see the effort. You're just missing that one part. Please. Please. I mean, just say it. We'd be out of here. Okay? And that's because I love you as an artist. Anyway, we're diving in. Welcome to the dissection. All right, here we go. The Big Payback, episode 4, written by Francesca Sloan, directed by Hiro Murai. Hiro Murai has been showing that ass in his directorial skills. Francesca Sloan is also working with Donald Glover in his Amazon Prime series, the remake of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I don't know if you guys watch Pen 15. The Asian actress that plays Maya will now be playing across from Donald Glover's character as a married couple. And you can just kind of see the world that he's building. And that's all that's going on. That is all that is going on. So, in this episode, the main character, the white man named Marshall Johnson, will be going through the 5 stages of grief. We'll watch him go from denial to anger to bargaining to depression and then finally acceptance. And there's also 3 major metaphors that I want us to pay attention to. A lot of the information I got for tonight's dissection was given by the actor who played Marshall, Justin Bartha. You guys have seen him in The Hangover. And he's a great actor. He gave a lot and he really understood the story. So I read the interviews that he provided for Vanity Fair or was it Variety? One of them. And Complex, and he gave a lot of insight to how his character was struggling with his whiteness. So that's what I'm going to be including in tonight's dissection. Let's get started. My wonderful dissecting babies. Opening up in a coffee shop where Marshall is listening to a radio program, sort of like this NPR style podcast that theorizes what will be his entire journey tonight. And this podcast says you can enter the wild and the calls of the wildlife are reduced to talk. But when you listen to what they're saying, you can enter the wildlife in a cool way. Marshall will enter the wildlife. And as he's listening to his radio, you can hear the muffled sound of the black man talking into his phone, trying to speak with the cashier, but you cannot hear the talk of the wildlife. Not to call my black men no animal, but this is white gaze. White gaze. Okay. And as we open up in the episode, we start from behind Marshall, then we flip right to the front, signaling to us visually that we'll be having a change of points of view, right? Having that black man's voice be muddled in this coffee shop while he's wearing blue with that red hat. We know that is thematically connected to the bottle episode of episode 1, where the black fisherman didn't know he was drowning. So we have blue representing the water, the black man being muffled as if he is drowning, he is underwater, and that is the equation of blackness to whiteness in America. Woo! And of course, while this show is talking about the wildlife, the black man is standing next to a mounted buck. So all of the visuals absolutely lining up, starting right there, right? So metaphor number 1. We are talking about the privilege Marshall has to passively steal and enjoy the cookie that he accidentally stole. Delicious. I just accidentally did a crime, little petty crime. But what is seen as this small passive mistake is this larger metaphor for today's whiteness. You're accidentally and passively benefiting from the crimes of your ancestors. Chewing on that delicious little cookie y'all are. Must be nice, right? So we have Marshall actually doing wrong while the black man is in trouble for something. And the gag is, the larger issue is, it don't even matter what he's in trouble for. He's just in trouble. We as black people just can expect that. Whether or not we did it, we in trouble. Right? So stealing black people for enforced servitude allows today's white people to steal unchecked, which is the same system that automatically puts us in punishment. Oh, I know it too well. I know it too well. This is how white people are directly profiting off of their ancestors. So going back to the interview with tonight's star who plays Marshall, Justin Bartha, he says that theft has different implications for every single person, especially people of color. And it took this kind of theft from people of color to have this cookie. So we have this change of point of view once again. We remember in our last dissection when we were talking about swinging from the trees, hanging from the trees, the lineage of Black people. Now in this episode, episode 4, somebody else is under the tree. It's time to pay the piper. Somebody else is under the tree this time. It's time to pay the piper. You understand? Even more visual parallels from the last episode. You can see Marshall's lineage, all these colonial houses built. Who built them? And we have Ern standing in front of his lineage. Who was under the trees? Both of their pasts look absolutely different. Both are haunted. And if you watch the opening sequences with Marshall, he has a ton of reflections, a ton of mirror images, showing that his past and his ancestry is what haunts him. He's also being followed by this unmarked car. He's getting these repetitive calls from some unknown number. There's just something that's haunting him, chasing him, looking for him, pinning him down. Going back to that podcast, when the wildlife calls you can finally hear their talk. The wildlife calls you. And we have a big shift where Marshall is listening to an audio recapping a successful win for a Black man who sues an investor of Tesla by proving human capital is what gave Tesla its financial profits. So there's actual evidence in Marshall's world that says Black people about to win and come for it all. This was derived from an actual real story of Tesla, who had to pay a former worker for experiencing racist treatment in their company $137 million. Now that's a cookie I want to buy. That's a cookie. So Marshall is seeing this thing happen in real life. So you can only ask, what consequences await Marshall? His daughter was a great addition. It adds another layer of the story. The daughter plays this key to realism. Marshall is a man that doesn't make any extreme decisions. He doesn't choose anything. He doesn't have a specific desire or passion of any sort. He's down the middle, floating through life. And so when the daughter, the key of realism is saying, hey, I think mom wants you to come back home, he doesn't make a decision. Really? Cool. Denial. Stage of grief, denial. He's denying everything all around. And even when he engages with his wife, they're cold, they're abrupt, they're not saying what they want to say. If you're in denial this bad in your own life, how the hell are you going to talk about racism? You ain't got the skills, baby. You do not have the skills. Yes, Elaine, exactly. That sound I think we're going to be hearing throughout the entire season. Love theft being foreshadowing of the subject of the episode. Yeah, in so many ways. And you know we're going to break it down tonight in so many ways. That real life Tesla case was wild. The Black employees comparing their work environment to being on a plantation. Just like the land and the plantation we said in our last dissection when Ern was in that billionaire's home. It was very much a plantation. Very much exploiting labor. Very much ripping off people's skills and values. All of that. Yes. All of that. Absolutely. So let's dive into the second metaphor that we have. The cookie metaphor. There's a metaphor of what goes into making a cookie. So in that opening sequence, and Marshall's in the cafe grabbing a coffee, accidentally stealing a cookie. He enjoys the cookies in his car and he drives off. And if you look in the background, there's a Black man wearing red, packing boxes of cookies. He's got to deliver this stuff. He's got to put all this labor just for Marshall to enjoy it by accident. And these are the things that Marshall doesn't even think about because he's just like, oh, I'm presently enjoying this cookie with no thought on who brought it, who made it, what did it cost, did they get paid, are they living well, are they, nothing. But that's what we're going to be examining tonight. So let's get into another food group. Let's talk about some shrimp. Because apparently what Marshall does at work, I think he's a graphic designer for shrimp. There's this branding behind shrimp. There are shrimp branding place. So you have to think, when it comes to that one piece of food, all of the labor and who gets the benefits of enjoying shrimp versus who has to put all the labor in providing it. So Marshall meets his coworker who's like, how this is so unfair. Black people are starting to sue white people. I bet that guy who sued Tesla is set for life. I can't, blah, blah, blah. And the white guy looks like the shrimp. They are the same color scale. Not realizing the huge irony. Exploiting people, ripping people off, stealing money is how white people are able to enjoy their life. But this coworker saw one instance where the black person used this game in their favor and won, and now all the complaints come out. Let's go a step further. Let's look at the power switch, because in the animal kingdom, in the wildlife, the rule is eat or be eaten. So we have a power switch. Black people having fun, enjoying themselves, and look at the top of their board. Who top 5? Shrimp. Get ready, shrimp. Get ready, shrimp, because it's time to win. White people got to enjoy all of it, all of the benefits of this food chain. Get ready, shrimp. It's time to win. Top 5. Oh, we ain't never had this before. We ain't never had this before. And now all of the podcasts that Marshall was listening to from these white people have switched to black people celebrating. I'm about to sue everybody. We getting it. What's up? And you can see the pain in his face. Marshall's podcast switches to black people celebrating. Not talking about shit, but who they about to sue next. So even as he's seeing people get fired, he's seeing companies get sued, he has this evidence of something happening, but he still doesn't sway either way. I'm not going to look up my ancestry. I don't really care. I don't really know what's going on. Y'all getting worked up. Right down the middle. He's not moved anywhere. Denial. And we get his daughter again, who reminds him, what's really happening out here, Dad? Are we racist? Oh, you've been running. This is what y'all been running from, huh? This is what haunts you. Avoiding, denying the answer to that question. Y'all fight tooth and nail to not answer that question. Are we racist? Something that his baby is considering. How old is she? 8? And she considers such a heavy, easy question. Are we racist? The answer is yes. Oh, because I know white people are going to get mad at me for saying that. That's that denial. You're in denial. Felt like a Black Mirror episode, one of my favorite series. Gotcha. Also, top of the food chain, Superior Shrimp. Okay, I was like, what do they do with all that shrimp in there? But we see who profits from the shrimp versus who's at the bottom of the totem pole, and that power switch right then and there. Superior Shrimp. Interesting. Coward. Go back to your country if you don't like it. Go back to where you came from. Y'all, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we remember episode 1, which set the theme of this entire season. The white fisherman sitting in a boat with a black fisherman who didn't even know they were drowning. And the white fisherman tells the black fisherman, we're cursed too. And I was like, is that true? How could you be cursed if this is your waters, your game. Where are you cursed? But it's the running. We see the hands that are pulling the fisherman into the darkness versus whose hand is bothering this white woman. This is the grave you made. It's her own hand. It is her own hand. Who could she be mad at? Hinting that slavery haunts white people and black people. However, where my little question marks happen, black people are harmed, white people harm. So if you're going to equate your need to be accountable to black oppression, it's not, I don't taste that. I don't taste that. However, this game you made, the waters you made, the grave you laid, it directly impacts you. Because what will happen the moment black people go after what is owed to them? You running. You scared. Terrified even. Can't sleep. Oh, I wish I had a picture of Fernando trying to pretend to sleep in bed right now with a paperboy knocking at his door. You can't sleep. Y'all sleep very well. White people sleep very well. But this is what y'all made. So how are you haunted? This is you, right? So let's meet the ghosts. Let's finally meet what was haunting Marshall this whole time. A black woman named Shaniqua. This her house. And you can see Marshall aligned with the color blue, hinting at the fact that he is now underwater. He is the one who is drowning. The same way Van was pushing the white people into the pool last episode. It's y'all turn to drown. Coming right about here, flipping the power, right? And this is precisely why you tell black people, just move on, get over it. We're in a post-racial society. No, y'all still got my money. Y'all still very much have my money. Look right behind Marshall. Look at the construction of his house. He literally has the construction of this home framed. He admires it versus the structure right beneath that. Who made it? We remember what those black stripes meant from the last episode. What visually and who visually looks like the black stripes under the tree, right? Who built this house? And so Shaniqua answers it. This my house and don't slam my door, period. She don't even need the keys. It's her house. Somebody here has paid the price and the other person has made the profit. We're going to have to change that. We are going to have to change that. So this brings Marshall through his stages of grief, from denial to bargaining, trying to do all the what ifisms, trying to do the hypotheticals, trying to bring up white slavery from BC. Like, baby, no, nar. Mm-mm. And this is a man who was fine, riding right down the middle, not being persuaded either way. He was cool as hell as long as he was never personally affected. Now that he got hit personally, oh, we got all the feelings in the world. You got all the feelings in the world. Here's what I found interesting. There's a black family in this episode that found it just as valuable to just have white people admit it. They didn't even want the money. They didn't even want the money. I just want you to admit it. Imagine how valuable that is if you just say, it's my fault I made this. I'm also at fault here. Some black family passed up the money. Just say it twice a week. Say it. Something that Marshall refuses to do in every area of his life. He don't do it with his daughter. He don't do it with his wife. He definitely don't do it with Shaniqua. And as you've seen how that scene switched when he was talking to Lester, what's the answer? Is it my fault? What do I have to do? He didn't want to hear it. That scene Stop talking. Shh. Don't say that. Stop talking. You're not suffering from the Byzantine Empire. What up, Mia? Did anyone else notice that Marshall and his daughter were eating spaghetti like Laquarius in episode 1 before something crept up behind them all? That infamous knock on the door. Oh, Mia, that's good. What a great visual parallel. Great, great, great one. I totally missed that. I thought it was weird that they were eating spaghetti. It's not a white meal make, but but that further shows how this created a power imbalance. Y'all are the black people now. It's spaghetti in there. Y'all are the black people now. Great eye before something's coming for you. Great, great, great eye. One of the days that the man had to admit it had to be Sunday. Sunday being the most segregated day in the USA. I was also thinking Bloody Sunday, the whole Selma walk and all that stuff. I think about how black churches do their worships on Sundays, and that's where white supremacists target. That's who and when white supremacists target. They constantly aiming for black churches. So I thought Sunday was a very specific choice as well. So absolutely, Mia, that spaghetti though, that spaghetti point. Whoo. Okay, let's talk about white ladies. Always got to talk about white ladies. Because you was white yesterday. You were white yesterday. We have this white woman on the left claiming she's Jewish. And we have the ex-wife suddenly claiming she's Peruvian when you were white yesterday. And now you're choosing POC to avoid accountability to black people. And we don't have the time to talk about the Latinx stomping on the black culture. We don't have the time. But y'all in there. Y'all in there. You was white yesterday. This white lady on the left was panicking at work. Check your ancestry. It's going down. It's happening. Look how calm she is when she discovered she was Jewish and she ain't have to pay. Look how calm she was. And then trying to son Marshall. That's your history. Yeah. And now you're woke queen. I will slap you in the teeth. How the Peruvian ex-wife went from white hands and now she's talking to Marshall during reparations and now she got dark skin hands. Way darker than her complexion. I just want to say it's a lot of people, especially I'm seeing them a lot on TikTok, a lot of racially ambiguous people, white passing people claiming black. Race is based on phenotype. If and when you walk into the room, how will the world respond to you based on your assumed race? Because that's the construction and that's how this all works. You're never going to confuse my race for anything else. I'm a black woman when I step into the room and the world responds to me very much so that way. Very much so that way. You'll never be confused, okay? So there's privileges that come with looking and appearing less black. Like when a bunch of light-skinned actresses keep getting casted in many shows across our entertainment and media. We don't have the time to talk about colorism. However, here, when his Peruvian wife distances herself from Marshall, now he wants to talk. Now he wants to be honest. Now he wants to have a conversation. Now he wants to face some things. It's too late. It's too late. But it took all of this for him to say something and for him to feel something. And a visual key that shows you where exactly he is when he originally spoke to his wife and asked if he can have a lamp, and she threw it out. Marshall asked his wife for the lamp she wasn't using because he was in the dark. When he went home, he was in the dark. And now, sitting in this dark hotel with no family, no home, possibly no job, he's enlightened. He gets it now. Huge visual key. Huge visual key. Let me see what y'all saying up here in the chat. I know those white ladies had the largest exhale of their lives. So breathing easy, nice and easy. Most of the black people didn't show up for work, symbolizing a ghost town. Mia, I like you. You win tonight's dissection. Because what? Mia, what? As if they're sitting on Lake Lanier in the flesh, right here, in the present, in the physical, right now. Yeah, what? You win tonight's dissection because, wow. I'm keep my eye on you, Mia. I'm keep my eye on you. I try to tell people all the time, these white Tinos. This reparation situation going to end interracial marriage. Donald played himself with that. Donald's not going to work hard anymore. He's going to sit home and collect that combined check account him and his wife got, period. He's going to be a kept husband. I'm back. I try to tell people all the time, these white Tinos do the most harm to us back home and then get to the USA and want to fly the POC flag, get the F out of here. We seen it with the war between Haiti and Dominican Republic. I know black, I Dominican. Yeah, all right. I can't with y'all, right? I cannot. So Marshall is enlightened. He is now sitting physically in the dark, but he has all the lights on. We have passed from in his stage of grief into depression, where reality sets in. He cannot avoid this thing anymore, whether by mistake or ancestry. Baby, you stole this land and this labor. You stole it. You are the product of it. Marshall is now awakened to the cost of this cookie. Something he was just passively enjoying just moments ago. Now he understands the weight of getting that thing into his hands. You get it now. That cookie look good as shit too. I ain't even gonna lie. Thick chocolate chunks. I like it. All right, let's get to the fisherman, because episode 1 spun the block. Episode 1 came right back around, didn't it? They met here. Ooh. Marshall meets the white fisherman from episode 1, the thematic language and foundation of this entire season. And we learn his name is Ernest. The same exact name as Donald Glover's character in Atlanta. The white fisherman's name is also Ernest. There's something so deliciously deep in there, but I don't have the words. I'm sure y'all will in the chat. The fact that Ern and Ernest have the same name, the same way Shaniqua Johnson and Marshall have the same last name. But Marshall meets Ernest, the white fisherman from episode 1, in this hotel lobby where the bottle episodes meet. The theme creating this through line to what we understand tonight to be the season midpoint, where white people had all the power episode 1, and we've subverted that here in episode 4. They lost all of it essentially with having to pay reparations. So back in episode 1, when the white fisherman Ernest was telling the black fishermen as they floated on Lake Lanier, white is where you are, it's when you are. We are to understand that whiteness is all encompassing, it's relentless, it's inescapable. And he says to the black fishermen, we're cursed too. And we see here in episode 4 the constant running of the white guilt, the heaviness, the denial of it all, the relentless manipulation it takes for white people to keep control pressed under their thumb, 90% of the population. That's tiring as hell, right? That is tiring as hell. And Marshall looks over to Ernest and says, I'll have what he's having. Will you? Will you? Ernest says to Marshall, I have a feeling we're in the same boat, Marshall. You owe a lot. Ooh, you owe a lot. And we remember when Fernando was having these nightmares of a black man soaked, haunting him in his own home. And what Paperboy was looking like, pay me. You've exploited, his labor. You've exploited his money. You stole it. One day, the haunting is that one day they will have to pay. They'll have to pay for all of their crimes, right? Where Marshall is now in his victim mode. I didn't do anything. Well, I feel like neither did the black man from the cafe when we opened up this episode, but it didn't matter. He was punished, period. He was black and punished, period. Now, you're white and punished. And you stole a cookie, so you did something. You did something. So we have metaphor number 3 from the cookie, the grand theft of slavery. The theft of slavery, because whiteness in its culture, just oppression. Like that's all that it is. Whiteness equals oppression. Not a clothing, food, music, hairstyle, language. Nothing cool come out of that. Whiteness is oppression. That's how it exists. And I think the terrible thing about whiteness is that they've exerted all of their identity into oppressing others, that they didn't even have time to find themselves. They don't even know who they are. And I remember Ernest saying in episode 1, being white blinds you. Who are you? And can you even see anything in anyone else outside of your whiteness? As woke as you are, as many black people you hang around, as many books as you read, as many degrees as you get, you will never understand. You cannot see outside of your own whiteness. You can't. And so Justin Bartha, who plays Marshall, describes this hotel as a sort of purgatory, as Marshall is in his depressive stage of grief, versus Ernest, who's sitting by that lamp, right? He's sitting by the light. Ernest is further down the road of acceptance. Marshall is still floating on the water, still floating and drowning in Lake Lanier. Ernest is sitting by the light, where Marshall is seeing all of this punishment happening to him. Ernest is seeing freedom. Finally, we have to pay. Finally, I don't have to run no more. And he says the curse is lifted from all of us. What would happen if you just admitted? Will you be able to set yourself free? Would you be able to just let go? You don't have to run no more. You ain't tired out. Huh? Jordan Peele already claimed the interracial self-dragging first. Get in line, Donald. Yep, Ernest and Marshall in the same boat of owing reparations. Rich or broke, pay up. However long it's going to take you, pay up. Okay? Two guys in Atlanta named Ernest. It would be wild if the parallel means that they will meet later in the season. Two sides of the same coin sharing different perspectives of slavery. And thank you for saying this. Let me tie this up. Thank you for saying this. I'm gonna come right back. Here we go. Everybody, say bye, Ernest. We remember when the ancestors of the Black fishermen were trying to set him free by pulling him into the darkness, pulling him into the water. And we watched Ernest on the left set himself free in death. Now, for the fishermen, other things were at hand in making him drown. But like that white lady scratching her neck, Ernest had his own hands on his gun. He controlled his own death, right? Ernest sets himself free with death. So we have Marshall making a choice. We see the same exact scenographic framing here, where Marshall's in the hotel lobby and right behind him is Ernest setting himself free. When he sat in the hotel room alone, these are his two choices. Marshall can either go down the path of acceptance, or in that mirror reflection, he can let the ghost of slavery pull him underwater, ending him for good. So you can be earnest and set yourself ultimately free via death, or accept it and pay up. Which way will you set yourself free? Those are Marshall's choices. And I love the fact that the Black bartender was not concerned. There's more where that came from. Because the eye rolls we get when we die, they tired of talking about it. Oh, here we go with this. You're playing the Black card again. We have to hear this again. The way that Black bartender was like, another one bites the dust. So going back to Mia's comment, I want to go back to your comment. Because Khaled pointed out something incredible last dissection too, who said there's a theme of death. Episode 1, the white lesbians died. Episode 2, Tupac died. Episode 3, Van touches urn and says, it's okay. And there we have episode 4, where Earn dies. So, would it be wild if the parallel means that they will meet later in the season? Earn meeting a ghost, Earn meeting himself. But I ask, who died last episode? Because Earn was willing to do something that went against his moral code in order for him and Paperboy to win in the music industry. We were talking about selling his soul. Was it a spiritual death? Who or how did death play a theme in the last episode? Because no one physically died in episode 3. So how will Earn meet Ernest? Will they meet? Does Ernest become the ghost, the haunting for Earn? Because Black people are running from whiteness. We're the ones haunted. We are the ones haunted. The white guilt was too much for Ernest, as well as the fear of his white people's new reality of having less power and privilege. And Ernest, that fisherman, wasn't even doing all that in life. So imagine having less. He was like, I'm good. I'm okay. he got up out of there, bitch. He got up out of there. And by taking his own life, he retains his power and privilege by having that choice. Because we remember, they did not give Tupac a choice. They controlled Tupac's death. White people controlled Tupac's death. The white lesbians were trying to control Aquarius's death and all the deaths of all those Black children. That wasn't up to Black people. It's still a privilege to take yourself out the game. In the last dissection, we theorized that Van's hand on Earn was guiding him to let himself go, which is what white Ernest did. Shit. Wow. So inadvertently setting the other side of the coin to death and not Earn. Y'all are brilliant. Y'all are brilliant. You hear me? Wow. Woo! Did anyone else notice the subtle wordplay that Marshall kept making throughout the episode? He never called it reparations, but rather restitutions. Sir, criminals pay restitution. And that he is. Let's all call a thing a thing. And that he is. um, the haunted tree that died last episode. The roots. Paperboy was gutting it from the roots. The oldest tree in London. The spawn of that ugly history. Paperboy uprooted it, killed it dead. The haunted tree died last episode. Also thought it was really cool in this hotel scene with Marshall and Ernest. The hotel music, that's Donald Glover. And I forgot to mention in like 2 dissections ago, when Paperboy is supposed to be performing at the concert, there was music already playing for the crowd that was wearing blackface. That was also Donald Glover, like making that music. It's like you can hear, he has a very specific tone, like when he sings. So you can hear his voice, like doing like all the background stuff. And I think it was season 1, the Justin Bieber episode when Paperboy had to do the celebrity basketball game. And Justin Bieber, the black Justin Bieber was performing, and Donald Glover was also doing that voice for the music. So he really be doing all parts. He really be doing all parts. Like Watchmen using Redfordations just so their President Redford can take credit for finally giving Black people their dues. And what I really love the language in Watchmen as well, they said the ancestry. So Black people can go find their roots through the ancestry. I thought that was like really cool too. I was like, I like that cheesy stuff. I like all that shit. I like all of that. So let's enter the new world. Now that Black people getting paid, they're getting their just due. Let's see where we at. Marshall working in a restaurant, aka making the shrimp and cookies. You went from enjoying it in your lap of luxury by passively stealing to going to the bottom of the totem pole and making it for everybody else. However, because this didn't get lost on me, Marshall mentioned that the tips aren't garnished. So he's actually not giving Shaniqua her full 15% out of what he earns. He's still skimming the top. He's giving her a cut of the paycheck money, which is minimum wage. But what he's really earning is his tips. And he says, luckily, the tips aren't garnished. You still stealing. I'll beat your ass. Pay my girl. You're still stealing. And it's funny to see him here next to Latin workers, Latin labor who are inexplicably, overtly, their labor is exploited and stolen on American lands. So the fact that he's befriending them and he's on their level and he's working with them, and he does this thing that I feel like Black people do. He found joy in suffering. He makes this place his home. He finds comfort in it. Because when we met him, when he had all the comfort and luxury, he wasn't smiling, he wasn't laughing, he wasn't cracking jokes, he wasn't making decisions, he wasn't making friends. And now that he's lost everything and come all the way down to the food chain, he's found some comfort in that. He's finally reached the final stage of grief, which is acceptance, and he's finding some comfort here. But you got to count them tips. Isn't it crazy that we've never seen this before? Something as simple as Black people enjoying luxury and white people being the servants doesn't exist. This is fake. Eating in an expensive restaurant as Black people is fake. You see how simple racism is? That's fake. And look weird. That looks weird. Black people enjoying luxury as a community and white people having to serve? That doesn't exist. And I also was wondering if we are having the conversation with Latinx people, that if Black people win, does that spill over and tip the scales for other people of color? I haven't seen like the Latinx people here, like they're still in their same position, but will that evidently carry over into how other people of color can come up in this country at the expense of white people? And also the conversation of white passing Latinx privilege, the ex-wife, because she ain't down here working in this restaurant. Ernest said they'll have to actually start picking themselves up by the bootstraps. They'll have to actually earn their wealth now. But she ain't down here in this restaurant, and I don't think she will be. So throwing questions out there, but that concludes tonight. Let me jump up in the chat and see what y'all is saying. Let me see what y'all is saying. But that is so. The theft is full circle. He'll be all right, and he will. You'll be all right. We gonna be all right. Period. Don't joke about him being late. we ain't never see Black people just eat and experience luxury collectively. It's that simple. Like, it's that simple. It doesn't exist. That is so crazy. Are we also to believe that Shaniqua is the only descendant of slaves owned by the Johnsons? Because he would have to pay a couple of Black folk. Unless somehow the family ownership directly links Shaniqua and she's just going to use the wealth for everybody that she had on the cookout on Marshall's land. She invited her whole family down. I think she'll she was planning on looking out for all of them, but not on no cut or no server earnings. You can't carry the family on that. You can't carry the family on that. The reckoning will have to happen in the same Latinx community. The white Tinos have to pay for what they've done to us Black and to the indigenous Latinos. I think it also showed that class needs to be added to the equation, and there always needs to be people at the bottom to exploit. That's what it's dependent on. Didn't Darius say that in one of the episodes? Am I making that up? Somebody, I feel like in this Atlanta season, said there has to be somebody at the bottom. I feel like it was Darius at Fernando's party. I don't remember. What up, Siege? I feel like I got the cheat sheet to this episode. Thanks, Latasha. Watching this episode next. Tina was like, I didn't even see it, but I'm coming to the dissection. She said it on Twitter today. Thank y'all so much. This is another dissection. I'm really enjoying this season. I think it is kind of split. People are missing the usual format of Atlanta. They want to see the characters. They'd rather be spending time with them. They're not quite understanding the bottle episodes, and it kind of takes them out of the Atlanta fantasy. I'm enjoying it. I like when TV doesn't make sense. I like when TV does whatever it wants. I like when they don't follow the rules. I like when they explore outside of their universe. I'm enjoying it because as Ern and his friends are exploring Blackness or exploring maneuvering their Blackness in the white Europe, we get that reminder of what's happening in America and what we're talking about, what's at hand, what we're addressing here. So I don't mind it. And I also know that we have like more episodes to go and we have a whole other season. So 2 episodes, fuck it. Like 2 episodes, do what you want. Yes. So I call these episodes where we don't focus on the crew interludes, like on albums. They're nice little breaks. Yeah, interlude. That's nice. Let's throw some hearts up in the chat before we get out of here. I want to thank y'all for being here. To access this live show, you must be a patron. Patreon.com/JustLatasha. $5 to access this show. If you would like to remain on YouTube, that's totally fine. Subscribe to the Just Latasha channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. This video is released to the general public every Thursday. I am on social media, Just Latasha on Instagram, Just Latasha 404 on Twitter. And I have some screenwriting pilots, some log lines to read. If you guys want to check that out, JustLatasha.com. And yeah, my sketch comedy series, JustLatasha's Interactions, is scheduled to finally come out this year. It's only been 2 years, bitch. But I'm releasing my series this year, which I'm hella excited about, and taking up some more writing projects, which I'm really excited about. So 2022 is it. Okay, 2022 is it. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Have a blessed evening. Yes, hearts up in the chat. Hearts up in the chat. Bye, y'all.